Hello, I'm Lise-Lotte. Welcome to my garden. I want to talk about awe today, the notion of awe, that awe and wonder, and how it relates to creativity and our living a creative life. And so often we think of it as sort of something that is awe-inspiring, something that is big. And sometimes that happens. We find ourselves in front of a beautiful sunrise, or we're up in the mountains, or we're somewhere spectacular, and we sort of think, oh, that could be awe, and I'm sure it is, that feeling of sort of overwhelming beauty. But I think also there are some times when awe kind of happens when we least expect it as well. So I was with my family up on a little island where we go every summer for our family vacation, and we were out in the water. It was something I was actually really looking forward to, is being out in that salt water, and just, it's summer, it's lots of people playing on the beach, all the different beach games, and people paddle boarding, and kids splashing, and dogs. Like, it's for me, I just love it. I think it's great. And so I was looking forward to that. And so we were out in the bay, and we were just, swimming and just being in the water. And all of a sudden, I just saw in the distance outside of the bay, I just saw like up with and it was a whale. Actually, it was more than one whale. And it wasn't an orca that I have seen before. It was quite different. And you could hear it. I mean, amongst all of that other sound, in that sort of collage of sound of all those people playing, you could just hear this, like, very almost a quiet noise, if you know what I mean. And there it was. And then you could see the big gray body just rolling back below the surface. And they were gray whales, and they were feeding just outside of the bay. They're huge animals. And so we're just standing in the water watching. And I don't have pictures so I can't show you those pictures. But I just have my story, and I guess the witness of all these other dozens and dozens of people who saw and experienced that too. But just really, for me, it is that whole sense of awe and wonder, in that it just stops me. Like, I'm not thinking, I couldn't put words in that moment. I can now, but I was just completely present in that moment. And, other things on the trip happened in that same way. So that night, we were in the cabin, and the window was open. I was lying in bed, and there was a screen on the window, and even through the screen, without my glasses, I could see just the black, black, black of that night, and punctuated with the stars. And then I thought I saw a shooting star. It's like, did I see that? And, it happens, of course, so fast, and you want to replay it. You want to look back. Did I see it? But of course, you can't look back because there's nothing to see. It's gone already. It's just that moment, that flash. And actually, a friend of mine had seen 25 shooting stars that night. So I very well did see that. And it's the Perseids. So that's a time of year when you see more shooting stars. It's quite incredible. And without the city lights, of course, it's even darker, and you see more stars even than you do here, which is, I live in a sort of small-ish city. And but anyway, it's those kinds of things, and they are really awe-inspiring. They're that moment of, like, wow, like, really, that's cool. And maybe there's a sense too that there's something bigger happening. Maybe that's part of awe. I would love to know what you think about that. But I feel like there probably is. There's something sort of, maybe you didn't expect it. Maybe, sometimes I'm sitting at my computer in my office or in the living room, and I'm writing, and then all of a sudden I notice there's like color on the wall that wasn't there. I glance up, and then it's like, oh, it's the sun. It's the sunset. And so I see and I go out and I open my door and I look out, and then I'm just, watching the colors and how they change. Always seems so really quickly. And they're subtle, but they're really so beautiful and stunning, and sometimes really unexpected. and sometimes the clouds are going, and I'm just like looking at all of this and taking it all in. And I don't, in that moment, I'm completely present. In that moment, there's nothing else. I'm just looking at that. Not thinking about anything. I'm not talking about anything. I'm not in that part of my brain. I'm in the part of my brain that is just like, wow, this is really something. And I'm so grateful that I can be here and witness this. And I think that my noticing practice in my creativity practice certainly brings me to places where I do notice moments of awe. And, there are lots of people who talk about, who are in neuroscience and so on, they talk about how important it is to have a moment of awe every day. And I thought about that and I thought, well, yeah, actually, you know what? I do that, not moments of surprising like swimming with whales and outside the bay kind of thing, um, but just moments of, I open the back door in the morning, and right now we don't have smoke in the air, so unlike other places where I live, because of the forest fires. So it is really fresh air. So I open the door and I just take my first breath in of this beautiful fresh air. And sometimes I'm watching the hummingbirds coming to the honeysuckle that have cut. The honeysuckle's kind of wound its way up this pillar that holds up the roof on the deck. And so I watch them for a little while and just have like really brief moments. And of course, now that I'm not like looking after anybody else, I don't have little ones around, I don't have other responsibilities where you're on, I can stand there for a few minutes. But even still, even when I didn't have that, there were still moments that I could find that were just a moment of taking something in, taking in some beauty. And I think it's so important. It's something that we're going to talk about as part of my Flora creativity practice when I do my free 3-day workshop in September called Begin Again. And it's really coming back to your own creativity. And it's for any woman who's interested in being able to say, I am creative. And I'm really excited about it, actually. And it's going to be lots of fun. It's virtual, but it's live. Like I'll be on the Zoom, and yeah. So awe and the noticing and wonder. That's all part of that. That's all part of a creative life, and it feeds us in ways that probably are, well, they are far beyond our creativity. They really are part of our sort of healthy place that we are in. Sorry, I must stop doing that because then I was touch the speaker. Sorry, I'm trying not to do that. Anyway, oh, and I wanted to show you. So I always show you the flowers at the end, which I will do. These flowers, I am doing a wedding. I don't really do weddings, but one of my daughter's friends had asked me to do her wedding bouquet and the bouquets of her friends. And so I couldn't say no. And her favorite color is purple. And so I thought, I'll go out and I'll find some different purples. I also went to the garden center just to get some inspiration and reminded me that I had some things I'd forgotten I had. So that was good. And so I've put this together. I put this together for her last night, and it was really just to have the conversation of what kinds of purples does she like. And as it happened, she then showed me, and I hadn't seen it before, the 3 different color purples of the material that her bridesmaids are going to wear, and she's going to be in white. So um, and they actually, I guessed it right. These were all the purples that were in her swatches from her bridesmaids' dresses. And she said, it meets and exceeds my expectations. I'm like, oh, that's so good. So I'm looking forward to being able to put together a beautiful wedding bouquet, and yeah, and they're not colors that I normally think that I have or that I do have. I have put some things in the garden this year. There's a little dahlia here that I grew specifically for her because I knew that I was going to need purple in September. So it's not till September, but yeah, we're all set now. And these lovely scabiosa and stuff. So oregano and other scabiosa, verbena, and I said to her too that lavender, that they're not all things that I might, we're not looking at the flower, we're looking at the colors. So there will be other things in the bouquets, but this gives her a sense of color. And I could ask her, what kind of green she likes. So she really likes this. It's actually lavender, but I sort of think of it as a eucalyptus color as well. So she likes that. So I found that out. And when you're an engineer and you're doing other kinds of work all day, you don't necessarily think of the different colors of green or the different colors of purple. That's not your life's study and work. But anyway, so this is kind of how I make decisions. And then I had made for her bridesmaids, I had made just so she could get a sense of the size, but it wasn't in the colors because I didn't have that. But I had some dahlias that I put together and so on in a bouquet, and just so she could kind of feel the size, and I could see if is that what she meant by a small bouquet and the length and all that kind of stuff. And then I gave it to her. So she was really surprised by that. She said, I didn't expect that. And so that was really great. So that is, it's not a sense of awe, but I will say that at this time in the garden when lots of things have kind of been dry or whatever, um, or they're finishing or they're starting or whatever. There's always, if you're in a garden near a park, anything like that, there's lots of places to find little moments of awe. Like little cracks in the sidewalk where some flowers grow, and you just think, how did you even do that? There you are, all that beauty. So anyway, I'll leave you with that, and I would invite you if there is um, something today that you just notice, something that you just notice, and it's that sense of awe. I would just invite you to notice that and look for that, be open to it. That one doesn't necessarily find things like that when you're looking, but one finds things when you're open to it. And maybe you're thinking about it, or you notice other things. So anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I wish you peace on your path.